who'd been diagnosed with terminal illnesses,
Yeah.
mainly cancer at that time, and some lived through it and some didn't. But I learned something from all of them. I learned more about living because I worked with these people who were actually dying than I did through my life.
Yeah.
And then as I kind of progressed, I started to get more and more into the business market, and it was mainly business women who came to see me. So 80-90% of my clients were business women.
Okay.
And their issues weren't as traumatic as Lisa's. And quite often it wasn't anything to do with their personal lives. It was more around work, how to get a promotion they felt stuck, or how to deal with a predominantly male environment.
Yeah.
One of the ones which came up quite often was they were having issues at home with their husbands, if they were married, or partners. And what that was, I realized, was that they were in a mainly male-dominated arena where they picked up the male energy, and when they came back home again, they were still carrying the male energy. So now we had two male energies kind of conflicting.
Yeah. We all know what happens there.
Yeah. So, it was things like that.
Yeah.
And then more and more it was around performance. And then as time went on, I started to work with a lot of chartered accountants.
Because you understand their pain, don't you? Having been there.
From small to medium companies who were actually already successful, because I happened to be introduced to one of them, and through him I met a lot of others who are all very successful in their own right. So they weren't coming to me because they wanted to be more successful. They were coming to me because primarily they didn't want to become more successful. They were already successful, but they didn't have all the things that they thought they would have when they became successful. It wasn't what they thought it was going to be. And so with them, I worked not on success, but on how to feel more fulfilled and happy through what they were doing. And it involved exactly the same skills as the ones that I was using with people who were dying. And so nowadays, I tend to get people who are actually already pretty okay in life, but they want something more meaningful out of their life.
They've ticked lots of boxes, and then they've realised that there's something that's actually missing, and they can't work out what that is.
Yeah, because they got into business for a number of reasons. One was to feel as if they were making a difference, that they were somebody, and two, to get financial freedom. Well, they had the financial freedom. They were also making a difference, but they still weren't happy, and they couldn't quite figure out because they had everything else. But the one thing that ultimately they wanted to be a particular type of person.
Yeah.
But what they discovered was in the path to success, the person they became was not the person that they wanted to become, but another type of person. And so I teach them how to go from the person that they are, that they don't like, to become the person they always wanted to be, and to not lose the success along the way.
Yes. Because a lot of people equate monetary success with it's the expression about the root to all evil. Yeah. It's like, well, no, actually money isn't evil. It's just the people that use it wrongly. that's
that even isn't the issue. I think their fear is if they become the type of person they wanted to be, they might lose the success. And I showed that actually the two aren't related. Success and who they are very different, and they can have both.
Yeah. So as an example, what could you explain an exercise or something you would do with somebody in order to free them up from that kind of bond that they're in, prisoner of their own making?
It's really kind of making the internal connections, and realizing that the belief systems that they grew up with aren't really true. It's just something that they've adopted. So what generally speaking, when we grow up, we adopt the beliefs of the people around us.
Yeah.
But they don't necessarily fit in with who we are. And so through talking and exploring, really, I teach them how to become the person that they want to be, but that's through the route of emotional intelligence. So in emotional intelligence, there is a specific pathway through the emotions. So there is no emotion which is good or bad. They're just regarded as different forms of energy. And the trouble with us is whenever we label something, the next thing we do is judge it as good or bad.
Yeah. It's instinctive, isn't it? Yeah, you're right.
So, you know, sort of things that are like guilt, shame, or fear, we're labeled as bad, and we don't want to feel them, compared to joy, love, happiness. But all they are just different types of energy. That if once you treat them as energies, you realize that some energies allow you to do more than other energies. So if I describe it as if I give you this analogy, imagine driving in a car from point A to point B. Nowadays, you'd use a sat-nav system if you didn't know the way. In the old days, we used to use maps. So let's use the sat-nav system. When you program the coordinates into the sat-nav system, you have to be very precise, because if you get those coordinates slightly wrong, you end up at a completely different destination.
Yeah.
The mind is very good for programming where you want to go. But the sat-nav system in the car doesn't work out the route. It communicates with the satellite in the sky, which tells it which instructions to give, to turn left, to turn right, to go over the roundabout, whatever the instructions are, but not the unit itself.
Yeah.
And so in humans, we're the same. So the mind equates to the sat-nav system.
Okay.
But the emotions have a different role. So we have different intelligence systems. There's the mind, there's the emotions, and then there's the gut instinct. These are three distinct intelligence systems which have completely different rules. So the rules that we've learned predominantly are the rules of the mind. That's what our school system is based on. The rules of emotions don't work that way. So is it any wonder that most people can't get on with emotions? Because we've not been taught the rules of emotions. On this. So you're going on this journey, and in the car, would you drive from A to B just in first gear, or would you drive in the highest gear that you could? So most people would drive in the highest gear. Why would they drive in the highest gear that they can go in? There's two reasons. One is the higher the gear, the faster you can go from A to B. And also the fuel economy. So you get more miles per gallon. I mean, emotions, you don't have to go up and down a gear. You just decide which gear you want to drive in, and you can drive in that gear. So the lower level emotions are the lower gears. The higher level emotions are the higher gears. If you could choose which gear to drive in, you'd always choose the highest gear, because you'd go further and you'd get there faster. That's the role of emotions in the journey.
Yeah.
If you want to go to your goal, all you have got to do is decide which gear to drive in, and you'll get there quicker and with less wasted fuel, so more efficiently. How that relates to in action is the same action can produce a greater result. So effectively, emotions affect you in how quickly you achieve your goals and how easily you achieve them. On this, so they're the kind of the powerhouse of achieving your goals.
Brilliant. It's interesting, isn't it? Because heart, mind, and you want to say soul, but you said gut, and this gut instinct that you have is it is your soul, isn't it? That you find.
And why is it called the gut instinct? Because it's down in the gut.
And it happens, doesn't it?
Not up in the head, which is where we try to look for it.
I find, for me personally, when I'm nervous about something, or I'm feeling unsure, or the instinct is kicking in, I'm feeling it in my stomach, like, oh, this isn't a good thing. But if I'm excited by something, it's like the fear and excitement are one of the same thing. You know, the actual feeling is the same. But if I'm excited because I might be scared about it, but I'm excited about it, it's all kind of up here with the heart. But if it's like, oh, I'm not sure, it's the emotion is down in your stomach, and it's almost like going to dropping into your boots. It's like, oh, I don't want to do this. I'm not really sure.
So let me make a distinction there. When you say, oh, I'm not sure, I don't want to do this, that's not an emotion, that's a thought. And the thoughts are up here. So quite often when we think of emotions, we are literally thinking of them, not feeling them.
Yeah.
The only way you can use emotions is to experience them, but we're too scared to experience them because of what we think is going to happen. So hence a lot of what is labeled as emotional intelligence out there at the moment isn't true emotional intelligence. It's the mind intelligence rebadged as emotional intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah. And you've got to listen to what your body and what it's telling you, and then you can do the thinking once you've understood where the emotion's coming from.
So in a computer or a recording in the human system, from the neck up is a recording and playback device.
Yeah.
The delete button isn't up here, it's in the body. So in order to let go of all the stuff that we accumulated up there, you need to get into the body to delete it. And the reason why so many people are in therapy for so long is they're trying to delete it from up here, and it doesn't work.
So once something has been deleted, going back to our original conversation around NLP, and it's a short fix and not a long-term fix, as far as you're concerned in your sphere of expertise, once it's been deleted, that's it, it's gone?
Yeah, because it's like pressing the Alt-Delete button on a computer keyboard. It is completely gone. Now, that doesn't mean let me demonstrate it this way. I kind of just happen to have this. If you have a tissue box and you take a tissue out, and I think this is about to run out, so just bear with me. That tissue out, what happens next?
And the next one comes through.
Yeah, so another one comes through.
Yeah.
You pull that out, and another one comes through.
Yeah.
How do you know when that tissue box is empty?
When nothing comes through the next time.
Exactly.
So
but you don't know until, so you have to keep them. But there may be so many layers in there that up here might be a layer called anger. And then there'll be all sorts of other layers, and there might be another layer called anger. When that one comes out, it's not a case of, oh, it came back. No, it was just another layer in the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in humans, when these things come up, we automatically think it never went away. It's not that, it's just there are different layers built in. So the first level of emotional intelligence is to be able to just pull that tissue out. But you'd be here for decades trying to do that, because we already spent decades stuffing all of this down. So the next thing to do is take that box and just chuck it away. And another box comes up.
Yeah.
Chuck it away, and another box comes up. But the thing is, that's much quicker than taking it out a layer at a time.
Yeah. So do you find your client base is basically predominantly a lot of angry people? Do you recognize it when you see them?
Not at all. There are certain types of people that are angry, and that there is a whole kind of knowledge around this. We as humans run certain types of programs, and depending on the operating system, if I call it, that we run, whether it's Windows or Apple or Linux or whatever, there are human operating systems. Depending on the operating system that you're running will dictate most of the types of feelings you tend to have most of the time. You'll still experience everything else, but you'll have more of certain types of feelings. And so, yeah, there are literally angry people, and there are sad people, and there are fearful people. But if you know what your operating system is, then you know the rules of how it operates, and you can upgrade that operating system to run better.
So it's an awareness.
You can't get rid of Windows and install Apple.
Right.
You still run Windows, but for me, I was running Windows 65 for 30 years. No wonder I was a mess 30 years later. I upgraded it to Windows 95. And suddenly I was working better, and I'm still upgrading it every year because it takes into account all of life's experiences.
So how long did it take you to kind of cotton onto this and adjust your life accordingly because of what you learned?
For me,